Hi, my name is Kimberly Joy. I'm working on a one-woman show called, a solo show called Remembering Joy. This is a piece I'm workshopping, so just bear with me, please. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Waking up paralyzed and alive. I have the ugliest scar going down the middle of my chest, and I'm alive, and I can't feel my body from my mid-waist down, and I'm alive. I'm so humiliated, and I'm so angry. I'm humiliated because I was a group and exercise instructor. I was a wellness coach. I was just in a yoga class, taking a yoga teacher training, just like 3 days ago. And here I am, laying in this contraption, paralyzed from the waist down. How can I be here? And why am I still alive? And you know how they say, like, when things are bad, they can always be worse? Well, nothing was more humiliating than the first time I had to go to the bathroom. The nurses put my legs in Happy Baby to remove my catheter. Now, Happy Baby was a position that I really enjoyed sexually, as well as in a yoga class. They removed my catheter, they hooked me up to a harness, they lifted me up, brought me into the bathroom, lowered me down. One nurse would hold me up while the other nurse would stick her hands between my legs and massage my anus. They're massaging your anus, Kim. They have to hold you up, Kim. And I closed my eyes because I just wanted to disappear. But then I opened them up really fast because I didn't want them to think that I was enjoying it. I couldn't feel anything. But when I opened my eyes, tears just streamed down my face. And the nurse saw how unhappy I was. And by the way, I just want to shout out to nurses. Shout out to nurses. The nurse saw how unhappy I was, and she started to explain to me, we need to massage your anus because if the anus is inactive, everything will just back up and your system will break down. And I was like, okay, let me just try to get through this. But I couldn't, I was just way too intense. They saw that, they surrendered and said, okay, we'll try again. Put me in bed. And then before I knew it, another nurse came in and she was hooking up an IV bag, and it was a new drug called Dilaudid. Just press this button and it'll release the Dilaudid. And upon the pressing of the button, I could feel the warm flush of the drug just take over my body. And suddenly, everything changed. And when they came in to lift me up and airlift me to the bathroom, it was like an amusement park ride. And when they lowered me to the bathroom and one held me up and the other put her hand between my leg to massage my anus, my mind just drifted. And I started to think about how the asshole really gets a bad rap. It's like bad marketing, And then I started to think about the time, just days later, my yoga teacher was talking about, she was helping us in a yoga teacher training, and she was talking about setting our intention before we start a class. And so she said, inhale, look up, set your intention. On the exhale, lower your head, release anything that's in the way. surrender, and listen. And she said, you want to set your intention because you want to really just set the tone of your class or your day, but you don't want to set the intention of being an asshole, right? Nobody wants an asshole in a yoga class. And right when she said that, I was pushing back into downward dog. And I'm one of those lactose intolerant people that eat cheese. So there was gas rumbling right at the door. And my asshole was doing a very good job at keeping it together because she knew, my asshole's a woman, she knew that if she let go at that moment in that position, there would be a very loud sound in the middle of this yoga class. And I also had some rumbling in my stomach, so I understood that what was coming out of my asshole was going to just pollute the room with something horrid. So we together made a plan. I would just slowly move into child's pose, and she would slowly open up. So we would go from a to a That's exactly what happened. And in downward dog, suddenly other people started to move down to child's pose and look around. And I looked up slightly over. My yoga instructor was kind of making a face. It was a bad, bad fart. It just polluted the entire room. All that inhale and exhale, I felt bad for the people. But the good thing is that they didn't know it was coming from me. So on my way home, I started to really give thanks to my asshole. Thank you, asshole, for holding in farts. Thank you, asshole, for when I'm standing in line at Trader Joe's and I really have to go, there's one beating down the door, you will hold it down until I get to my personal bathroom. Thank you, asshole, for pulsing when there's another little one sliding to jump into the pool, letting me know before I get off. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. So back in the hospital bathroom, I was thinking, well, she really wasn't talking about the astral asshole. She was talking about the personified asshole. And it was 2017, and we had a new president. And I thought about him. And I thought, well, geez, he's kind okay. So if we look at our country, and we look at the economy, we could look at our country and we equate it to a body, and we look at the economy as a brain, and the planet as the lungs, and we the people are the heart, and the branches of government would be the stomach, the intestines. Well, the president would be the asshole, right? And then a non-functioning asshole would shut down a system. Huh. Isn't that something? And so then I started to think about my own system, and I was like, I got it. I gotta make sure that I gotta make sure that my system is functioning, because I understand now how I'm gonna save the world. So I inhaled, I set my intention to take a poop. I looked up, I looked down, and I let go of what was in the way. What was in the way was shame, anger. I was mad at myself for getting myself in that position, let that go. I relaxed my butt cheeks. I couldn't feel them, but I imagined I relaxed them. And then I listened. And what I heard was my heartbeat, and it was beating real loud, dum, 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 like giving Edgar Allan Poe Telltale Heart, kind of loud. But I could feel how hard it was working to keep me alive. And I thought, okay, just relax. And then suddenly, plop, plop. Oh, happy day. So the nurses cleaned me up and they brought me back to the bed. And then I got a little more dose of my Dilaudid and sat back, and I started to think about the asshole, and I was like, I'm starting to feel sorry for the asshole. Like, nobody wants to be an asshole, right? I mean, not even the hole between your butt cheeks wants to be an asshole. If given a choice, I'm sure it would be a nostril or an eye socket or an ear canal or maybe even a mouth, maybe, right? Not a birth canal, it's too much work. But, right? But the asshole, the real asshole, the personified asshole, the sphincter in chief, for instance, they come from something that has broken them. They have broken souls, right? So, I mean, we all have asshole moments in our lives, right? If you have any adolescents in your household, you live with assholes. But then you grow out of it. But then there are people that run countries that just show up as big, gaping, non-functioning assholes. And if you remember, like, I wanted to keep my system running because when I thought about it, I realized in that moment that I was sick. I didn't know I was sick before this all went down. I realized I was sick then. I was also recognizing that our country was sick. We were both sick at the same time. I wanted to get my system running, and we needed to figure out how to get this system running before it broke down. Do you all remember COVID? I mean, it just tracks. Remember that time, that era in our life when we discovered that, like, well, white people discovered racism? Remember when that happened? Or remember when COVID, the iPhone, and menopause brought us the Karen? Remember that? Yeah. And remember there was the first government shutdown? It was because of the malfunctioning asshole, henceforth MFA, that was running the country. And here we are now. The economy is the brain. The planet are the lungs. We, the people, are the heart. And we have a malfunctioning asshole running the country. Let's all take one breath, inhale, set our intention, exhale, remove whatever's in the way. What are we going to do next? Let's not be assholes and let this motherfucker keep running this country. @KimberlyJoy.com.